Hey, I'm here at CJ LaFragola.
LaFragola. Yeah.
There we go. That's how we're gonna do the intro right there. Um, Fighting on CFC 117 on March 31st in the amateur division. How's things going on your end?
Really well. Just kind of dialing in now. It's getting winding down here, getting closer. Luckily I don't have too many pounds to go. I'm, usually pretty close to weight. Especially at 85. I mean, maybe down the road, get down to 70. That's probably like the plan in the future. But for now, just feeling good, trying to learn every fight. And, just like I said, dialing in, it's getting close here. Just make sure we get into that weigh-in and get into Friday night healthy. And that's like the main goal now. Just kind of maybe like one or two more little hard pushes, but pretty much, the work's done at this point. So it's ready to go.
Returning to the 2300 arena for the first time since May of 2021. You did 3 fights in between. We've talked a little bit beforehand. Maverick MMA, and then up and Dead Serious. Just got a slight opponent adjustment within the past week or so. Anything changed game plan wise there for you?
I mean, not to confuse. I mean, I'm a wrestling coach. I'm a wrestler base. I mean, that's my background. But I always come into the fight expecting what the other guy's going to do, and I try my best. With amateur, it's tough. There's not a lot of film out there with different guys and whatnot. But I'm always prepared for whatever comes at me, and just always going to fight the way I fight. I don't really try to change too much, but obviously once you get in there, you kind of go back to your roots. So I'm just just keeping it pretty much the same, but just be aware of certain things. I mean, in my opinion, this new opponent's a pretty good submission guy, so I just got to be aware and be smart in certain situations, and just can't be as reckless. Rushing in, just gotta fight my fight and just keep it my way, and just kind of stay in there and stay composed. And like I said, once you get in there, you flip that switch. It's a different game. Game plan goes out the window sometimes, but just look forward to getting in there and just like I said, every fight here is a learning experience. This amateur divisions like this, it's an opportunity to test different fighters, go against different styles, different style matchups. So that's why when an opponent changes, I guess it's not as big of a deal as like a pro fight, because you're going in there to learn no matter what. So you're going in there, it's a new experience, and whatever happens. You just let it fly, and you got to just fight the way you fight.
So you were about two years into your amateur career, 4-0 currently. Friday, you get the win again. You're now 5-0. How long are you looking to stay around the amateur before you make the pro jump?
I mean, like I said, I don't like to get ahead of myself. I like to, hopefully do my job and take care of business on Friday. And, pending how I feel there, I mean, if things go right and I really feel confident in the way I perform, and we'll see. Me and my coach, Nick Catone, we'll have a discussion about that, and maybe taking that next one, or either one or two more, hopefully in the amateur, depending, Friday. I potentially would want to still do one at 70, like I mentioned before, maybe. I think that's the weight class I'm going to fit in. I mean, I see a lot of these guys. I've trained with the 85 pounders at the pro level. There's some big guys. And I really, not that I'm not a bigger guy, but compared to them, I might be a little smaller. So I think that's something in my path that's probably going to have to happen. And to feel it in a fight would probably be the best thing. So potentially like one more after this, I think, in my mind. But we'll kind of test it out pending Friday. I still wrestle and compete too. So like my plan is after this fight I'm going to wrestle in the US Open with our athletes from Drexel go out. So I kind of wrestle with them. So I potentially might go down to 174 would be the weight class for that one. So that'll be a good chance to kind of test the weight. I haven't been 174 since college. My freshman year of college, I went 74 a little bit. So it'd be good to just, at least test my weight a little lower just to see how my body performs. And, it's a little easier to test it in a wrestling situation than MMA, where you might get punched in the face. So if you get tired, you kind of have to defend yourself. So, that's my biggest thing with the weight cut, is just kind of like make sure you feel good. You don't want to be unconfident because of the way your weight cut goes. So, right now for this fight, just go 85, feel good, keep testing my skills, keep learning in the cage. And then, moving forward, we'll see where that weight goes, and potentially like maybe one more amateur fight, or obviously after this wrestling event too, I'll see how my weight feels and stuff.
And speaking of Drexel Wrestling, you guys just had a bunch of events over the past couple weeks. When I first reached out to you, I was trying to judge and see how busy you were going to be before I bothered you.
You're good.
How is it going with? I mean, not only just having meets, but having meets at that level over the past couple weeks leading into a fight.
Honestly, it pumped me up. Like the first thing, I mean, Nationals is insane. Like it's the greatest weekend, week it's a whole, we get there on like a Tuesday and stay like the whole weekend. But it's just a great experience. I mean, you go out there, I wasn't wrestling, but I still got the same like energy. Like you just feel it. Like when you're in that tunnel underneath those big arenas, it's just all the people are up top ready to go, and it's like a battleground. Everybody got their own little camp underneath. Like Drexel's over here, we got Penn, Cornell, whoever, Iowa, all these little camps, and you're seeing all these elite wrestlers. You have all these top level guys around you, and you can just feel that energy. Even if you're not wrestling, you feel it. And it's so exciting. One of our guys, Brian Benino, he made a run to the round of 12, which he was a 25th seed. He beat the 8th seed in the first round. He ended up beating the guy who won our conference in the round of 16. So he's my main guy. He's our 184. He was our main, like my main, one of my main guys. I was in his corner. And like just that energy, like I warmed up with him every time. And so like I was still getting my workouts in kind of with him. And it pumped me up. Like the first thing I did when I'm like, man, can I go out there and wrestle? Like I was ready. I was jacked up. Like, I mean, it's crazy because like a new thing with the COVID years, so there's some kids that, believe it or not, that I wrestled in college that are still like competing now. So when I see them wrestle, I'm like, man, I wrestled that kid. I want to get out there. But it's just awesome being around it. And like I said, yeah, it's a grind, like a lot of traveling. Like the traveling coming back was a nightmare. We got like delayed in Dallas or whatever, but that's probably the hardest part. But besides that, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Even though it's like I want to train, my MMA drills and stuff, but like you can't beat that energy around wrestling. Like and it's I still got able to work out. Like even during the tournament, I'm working out, shower, and work out, shower, go in the guy's corner, and I'm running around. So it just kind of it pumps me up. When my guys are working hard and then they see me training for something, I think it elevates their performance too. So I think we kind of complement each other. Even though it's not necessarily wrestling, it's an MMA fight, but I think it gets them excited and they get me excited. So I think it's a good thing we got going.
Yeah, I know. I've been kind of following along on your Instagram when that was all going on, and then I'm a newbie to wrestling, so I've been trying to watch a little bit. It was great seeing it on like, ESPN this year,
Yeah,
and
they blew it up. It was awesome on the NCAAs. They
it
did a
was.
good job.
And then I have a lot of friends from the New Jersey area that old school New Jersey wrestling that were like my Facebook feed has been nonstop. So if I wasn't watching it, I was kind of being force fed it,
Yeah.
but a little understanding this year, which was nice.
Yeah.
Outside of that, he did the wrestling and you led in the MMA. What are your goals for your fighting career?
I mean, I just want to take it as far as I can go. I mean, I enjoy training. I enjoy staying in shape. I really like ever since. So I got introduced to it a little bit during college. I used to train. So at Brown University, that's where I went to wrestle. One of the alumni, his brother is Steve Mako, who coaches at American Top Team. He's like their main wrestling coach. So like from my sophomore year on, I used to go down in the summers and I would like wrestle with those guys, more wrestling at the time. But it was cool just like roll around with a lot of these high level, like they got a lot of Russian guys, the Brazilian guys. They got so many different like backgrounds, and it was cool just like wrestling with them. And believe it or not, when Covington was still down there at Top Team, I used to train with him, and he would come up and wrestle with me at Brown. So he kind of got me into it. So ever since then, I've been just kind of like I want to be able to be a part of that. Like when I'm around that high level of like training and fighting, it's just like such an elite level of guys, and it's such a unique sport that like I just want to see how far I can take it. I think I have a good set of skills. I got a good base. I still have a lot to learn. I mean, a lot to learn and a lot to develop in, like in terms of striking or jujitsu. But I know I have a good base and a solid background and a really good group of core coaches with Nick. I got Dante helping me, Shorty Santella, another CFFC champ. We got Frankie Edgar's been coming in now. He's basically taking like a coaching role at our gym. I think I said Dante's been working with us over at his gym. Even when Corey Anderson's around, it's like there's so many minds around me, and I just try to absorb as much as I can. And and like I said, I try to take it one at a time. I don't like to like look. I'm super like I don't like to look ahead kind of guy. So it's like see how this goes and just keep building from there. But I just ultimately like I want to be able to make a career out of the sport. So I love coaching and stuff, and I want to keep coaching. And if I can keep coaching while training, I think I'm going to keep doing that too, though. But it's like I definitely would like to be able to support myself through the sport.
I know there's a really strong wrestling boost coming in lately. Of course, you had the Bo Nickel. I think he's doing what everyone thought he was going to be doing. We get to get another answer come July. It sounds like he actually does officially have that book now. But you also down, on the regional scene too. You have Anthony Cassar.
Yeah.
He's starting to really kill it, and you have all these other higher level wrestlers who seem to be making at least the tease at jumping ship into the sport as well. That's another reason why I kind of got a little more interest in wrestling this year and seeing where they're coming in from, and even one or two fights in, they're looking miles ahead because they have the years and years of wrestling coming into it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, you got an event like that, the NCAA tournament that just happened. I mean, I competed at three of those. I mean, there's a big arenas. We're talking, like basketball, like for example, it's going to be at Wells Fargo in 2025. It's going to be in Philly. NCAA is for wrestling. And it's like when you compete at that level against that high level competition in a venue like that. I mean, we're more than prepared for that kind of test. I mean, these guys, like, I mean, Bo Nickel, he wrestles in the NCAA tournament, 30, 40,000 people. I mean, a UFC fight, it's pretty obviously there's punches and there's a little more to it with the fighting aspect, but he's been prepared for years. I mean, Penn State, that arena, I mean, every match has that kind of energy around it. And like, I think that's the hardest part for some people is just getting out on that big stage. And a lot of these wrestlers, at least at the Division I level that have competed in like NCAAs, I mean, we have been preparing our whole lives to do this. I mean, I wrestled in Jersey, so I was in the state finals and that boardwalk call, I've been preparing since high school for like these kind of events. So it's like we're used to that energy. We're ready for that pressure. I mean, obviously it's a different type of environment when you're in a cage, but at least that background, like we know what to expect when it comes to like facing the big crowds and like the pressure of performing on a big stage. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of success besides the wrestling base in the background. Athletically, I think mentally a lot of them are a little bit ahead of the game compared to maybe some, the new guy that's just starting out on the regional scene that's just kind of like still learning that rope. Maybe they competed at like a smaller college or something. But the NCAA's when when I was out there, I remember the first time I got out there, I was laughing. My first tournament my sophomore year, I didn't know which clock was mine. I let the pressure get to me, kind of. Like it was like the environment just caught me off guard. Like I was like a deer in the headlights my first match. And then my second match, I settled in and I was a little better. And I probably should have won it, but I ended up wrestling so much better because I was used to the environment. So I think that's a big step for a lot of those guys.
Repeat off the environment talk real fast too. So now coming into your second CFFC event, you're again at 2300 Arena. That environment is it feels bigger in a way because it's so compact. What are your views there versus other venues that you've worked at so far?
I mean, like I said, my first one was at the same spot. So like at least I'm such one of those comfort people. So like because I've been there and I know what the locker rooms look like, and my goofiest thing is like, where's the bathroom? Like before a fight, I gotta make sure I use the bathroom before a fight or whatever. Like I drink so much water, I'm like super hydrated. So like stuff like that makes me comfortable. But then like when you actually got out in the cage there, like you said, it does feel a lot bigger when you're in there because it's dark too. So you don't really realize how many people or less people or more people. So I thought it was a super awesome environment. I mean, CFFC puts on their setup for like the walkout and all that. It's top class. I mean, I've been at, like I said, Maverick had a cool setup because the two I did at Maverick were up in the Poconos in like a resort, which was more like a ballroom kind of feel. Like this is cool because this one's like an arena, more like made for either a sport or like boxing or like I know they do boxing events. They used to do WWE, that was the EEFC or whatever arena. So it's like it's been made for like something like this. So I love this arena. I mean, it's cool. Like after my first fight, always the goal is to get your hand raised, then you go get a cheesesteak at Tony Luke's. I mean, that's kind of my whole vibe there. And just being in the city, I think makes it an even cooler environment. This is actually my shirt we made for the fight. So we got the Philly skyline, repping the city. So it's like that. I think that kind of whole environment is really cool. I mean, Dead Series did a cool one because they were up in the New York one was more of an arena like this. That's right. I was up in Poughkeepsie, New York. And so like I like the whole being in an arena kind of vibe as opposed to like a ballroom kind of thing. Like so like it makes it feel more real. Obviously, once you get in there, the door's closed, you forget where you're even at. You're just like, let's let it rip. But yeah, it's definitely an awesome venue.
And you hit on the fact of you're in Philly, you're a cheesesteak. You're at Drexel for coaching. When you're in the city, is Tony Luke's your go-to for a
Oh,
cheesesteak?
I always, yeah, even like growing up, I've always actually liked Tony Luke's, and part of it was the convenience of getting there. Like, because the other two, you have to kind of be in the middle of the mix there. You got to like be deep South Philly there. I mean, yeah, I'd say Tony Luke's actually is like my go-to if I had to pick one, just because I mean I haven't tried any of the. I'm a bad Philadelphian, I guess. I haven't tried like the Dale Sandros, or like I know there's a couple other ones that they say like, oh, like they're not the big names, but they're like the good ones. Like I think Jim's, is that the other one? I haven't tried. There's a couple other ones that I've missed that I should take care of, but I've always been like a Tony Luke's fan. I think it's something with the bread. I don't know. I like the seeded bread.
Yeah, I think everyone else uses the standard Amorosa, and then Tony has the house made seated.
Yeah.
I've always avoided the what I call the tourist traps, your gyms and your hats and all.
Yeah.
But mine was always it's more so happened when we were way back. I was doing a video shoot out there, and we went to like I think it's called Lucky's. It's called just 1 pound. You're buying a 1 pound cheesesteak, but the shit was like $7.
I'll
Um,
take that.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure now, years later, it's probably more, but I mean, for the price though, you were getting like 2, 3 meals out of it. We hit the food, we hit preparations, hit the potential, when and where pro. Nick Catone, you want to talk about any of the people you personally train hands on with?
Yeah, I mean, Nick, I mean, it's been a great experience over at Nick's. I mean, so I started with them back before I got into Drexel. So, like right when COVID ended, I kind of finished I did a master's program at Sacred Heart. So I wrestled for 4 years, then played football and baseball at Sacred Heart. And then after that grad year, I finished my grad school in COVID. And so we did it like online. So the second that was done, I'm like, I got to get back into like training or whatever. Like I missed the grind and everything. So I got in touch with Nick because I grew up when I was real little in Brick, so I was familiar with the area and I knew about Nick and Frankie and all them. So I got in touch with Nick, and ever since then, it's been a great experience. And even though I'm in Philly and like I'll train at like some other gyms here and there, like home base is still Catone's. Nick takes care of me, and we got a similar style. We grew up with Jersey wrestlers. He wrestled at Ryder. I mean, he was a multi-sport athlete in high school, so I think we're very similar, I think, in terms of style and like kind of our upbringing, like, hardworking family. My dad does like construction. His dad does, I think, like similar field. So it's like, I think I fit the mold of a Nick Catone guy. I think, first of all, we had a lot of Italians in that gym too. So that also fits the mold too. But I just think, he's really taken a deep dive into my training, has really helped me like develop and learn. And it's been a great experience. And like I said, Shorty has been helping me so much on the other end with like the jujitsu stuff. Nick still has crazy jujitsu, but obviously his style is more like with the wrestling kind of takedown, ground and pound kind of style. And then Shorty kind of gives me the slickness where it's more like, manage the fight and control. He's a smaller guy, so he knows how to do like the little slick things in terms of like trips or whatnot. It's like, hey, maybe we don't have to body slam this guy or mat return him every time. Let's be a little smarter here and like conserve some energy so we can use it later in the rounds. So it's been great, like having those two in my corner. I have 100% confidence. And then one of our other fighters is going to be on the card with me, like Nick Corelli, another Italian. I'm getting with you. That's what I said. Our gym has a lot of Italians. So like been able to work with those guys in our gym. And I said I work with Dante's guys, Eric, Luke, Nick Valenti, all those guys have been helping me out. We kind of have a good little squad there. So it's we got a good little core group in Jersey there, like the Jersey Shore gang we got. So I just love training with those guys. And like I said, even though I'm in Philly more because of the Drexel and my responsibilities at work and coaching, I still like that's home base. Like even if I have to drive an hour 15 to get it done and get there and get my workouts in and get that instruction, it's worth the drive.
Shorty's on my list of fighters who I've loved watching throughout the regional scenes and all that. I know CFFC is in the process of doing their inaugural Hall of Fame, and Shorty was one of the first names I yelled. I was like, Dante, Shorty.
Yep.
I was like, there's certain people who have been around forever, and
Yeah.
would love to see them, get that first class induction.
Yeah.
But outside of that, any sponsors or any shout outs you want to give to wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of people that support me a lot, and it's I appreciate all that. Of course, appreciate my my family for supporting me, number one, and then big sponsor, Matt Black Kia, always supports me. They're my boys. They'll be rolling deep. The dealership, I kind of grew up. I actually worked there when I was younger, like doing like running cars. And ever since then, once I started wrestling and competing in this, they've been on board, helping me out with stuff. So they'll be in full squad. And then Post Brothers has helped me out. I got a bunch of people on the back of my shirt I got that took care of me. So I'll actually say, later. I'll send you a shirt, and then we can post all the people that helped me out. So yeah, make sure they get their proper shout outs. So I look forward to competing and just leaving it all out there. But yeah, I can't wait.
March 31st, you make the return. Let's get it done.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. I appreciate your time.